That's what she knows. Okay, I'm ready to call this meeting to order. And it is 1:37. I'd like to start with the opening prayer. There's trustee Taylor Service.
Sure, well, I'll join me with this matter of faith, in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen. Gracious and loving God, thank you for the seasons we can count on, find routine in, and that will never cease while the earth remains. As we enter into autumn, when the cooler winds drift in and the days grow shorter, draw us to you. Let us feel your warm and loving presence. May we imagine ourselves in your arms, close to your heart, surrounded by your light, and find comfort in your consistency when the world around us seems to be constantly changing. Thank you for your loving kindness that engulfs us and your light that drives darkness away. We praise you for being a God who loves us and takes care of us. We are grateful in all circumstances and seasons. In Jesus' name, amen.
Would you repeat 6 lines of acknowledgement, please?
We are party to Treaty 6, and as such, we wish to acknowledge that the land on which we gather is Treaty 6 territory and a traditional meeting ground for many Indigenous peoples. We recognize the diversity of First Nations who have at one time lived across the territory, as well as the presence of the Métis Nation. There is none, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Additions to the agenda. We do have one addition. Yes. No.
Thank you. I would like to add 6.6 board self-evaluation 2024.
Thank you. Any other additions? Are there any deletions? Would you like a motion for the board to approve the agenda? Marco,
I move that the board approve the agenda as amended.
all those in favor? Here. Is the minutes? Someone could put the forward that motion and then we'll start the issue.
Board approved the regular meeting held on September 20th, 2023 as circulated.
Thank you. Have a chance to look at that. Question? All those who would be in favor of this? Now, number 3 is the board priorities, and we'll have a look at the board goals and priorities. Per minute. Number 4.1 is the board chair report. Are there any questions?
Under correspondence, correspondence received and shared. Other than the nomination letters, was there anything else that was received by the chair?
This is nomination letters. Trustee Marco?
My question was in regards to the meeting with the Minister of Education. Is there any updates that you could share with us regarding when we may have an opportunity to minister as a board? Did they, I know it's a popular question.
It is a good question. I'm sure he would like to meet with all 61 boards, but time, so we don't have a date in where they were going to be seeing him individually as a board this year. It was a very good meeting. Quite a bit, and it's student here, it's just as far as meeting with us, no, I don't have for that. If I do get something. Yes.
Do you have another question? In regards to the Ministers Youth Council, was there any students from our division that are a part of that?
Okay, so that's this time.
Thank you.
Chair, we participated in the Alpha political meeting. September 27. Can you just give us a meeting? That meeting.
That was a very good meeting. We learned a lot, but no, Justine Marcos there. That I was, you were. It was very interesting. We are getting someone's perspective on things. So it just looks like to put in all the questions. But it was a very good meeting, and we look forward to the next few years. And is there anything that Trustee DeMarco or Trustee Burt that I can say?
Thank you.
Anything else on that? I'll go down to the superintendent. As far as any questions on that, I have a couple of questions. Number 2, parent lunch and learn series, understanding anxiety. Sounds exciting. And could you elaborate on this? And if it's virtual, is it available to all parents within our area?
Madam Chair, I'll ask Lieutenant Cardinal.
So our division wellness coordinator had hosted this series, and it's a 4-part series. It was held at St. Ben's over the lunch hour. So there was 3 parents in person attending, but then there was about 20 online from across the division. The 4-part series was understanding anxiety, calming our bodies, settling our minds, and working with wins. So those are the 4 topics.
Yes, Trustee Marco.
Follow up. Is there an opportunity for parents? Was it recorded and could parents?
I don't know that it was recorded, but I can find out.
The question in case other parents want to see it. Any other questions for the superintendent? Trustee DeMarco.
Just under the building effective relationships section, I see that there is a number of different items that are outlined for teacher and staff wellness. I'm understanding that most of them are new, but will there be an opportunity to be provided information on what the engagement is? I know that staff wellness is an important priority, so just to be interested and see what's working and how these new programs are being perceived.
So before I ask Assistant Superintendent Malloy to speak to kind of what's been going on so far this year, I will say that all of those initiatives under the staff wellness are being measured on the spring survey. So we will be able to get a sense of how staff have perceived that initiative at that time. So in between then and the start of the school year, we're undertaking a number of things. I'll maybe ask Assistant Superintendent Malloy to go over some of that.
So it is a new priority, but to even step back to the staff being part of the creation of that priority and the feedback for that, there has been a lot of positive feedback that it is a priority to begin with. And working with principals and all of their education plans for their steps through wellness for this year, They have incorporated social, emotional, and physical wellness in all of their activities. But as of late, recently, our learning day in October that was held at Sacred Heart School, we had a section, a component on wellness that touched upon the focus that is the board priority and that what would be focused on for this current school year to start to help them. And staff were able to collaborate in their school teams on how they are going to enact the education plan and weave it into the culture of their school environment. Staff were happy to hear that wellness is for all of them, for their administrators, for senior administration, for all staff. So there's a lot of ownership buy-in into the staff wellness, which is a good thing to hear and feel. In our administrator meetings as well, we have our wellness coordinator, division wellness coordinating, providing 30 minutes of professional development to administrators for them, their own wellness, but also for them to bring back their staff. So although early, a lot of positive buzz and it's a great sense to start.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Trustee.
Thank you. I have numerous questions. Stop me when you need to, but building effective relationships, number 2, bullet number 6, met with directors from other school divisions regarding curriculum collaboration. So this is just a bit of tell me more. Are resources being shared, cost sharing, or is it purely on invitation?
It's both. So essentially, the curriculum leads from all the divisions. It can be either zone 2-3 meeting, or it can be across the province. They meet essentially to share what they're doing, any current challenges that they're having, how they're addressing any of those challenges, and then those strategies are shared amongst them. Or if anything comes up from Alberta Education, like that is surprising, they'll also have a conversation about that. So yeah, so it's multifaceted in terms of problem solving and resource sharing.
Also, under number 2, bullet number 13, regarding the future. So my question here is, who is getting trained? Is it the entire VITRA committee or group? I can't remember exactly what they're called, but the VITRA team, is it everyone that's getting trained, or is that being networked out to others?
So last year, thank you for the question. Last year, we had our one director bureau, as well as our wellness coordinator, attend the train the trainer session in Lethbridge, hosted by Kevin Cameron. So we do have 2 internal trainers in the division to train staff at level 1 VITRA. So next week they are training 6 division staff. And those being trained are school administrators. So our school administrators have to receive level 1 and level 2 VITRA training. So the 6 that I mentioned is a combination of administrators or members of staff that sit on the VITRA team at that school. So that is a requirement to sit on the VITRA team that you've been trained. So that's what's happening.
Number 14, same number 2. French immersion schools collaborating on timetabling and sharing of the French immersion language assistant hired via a grant. So is this grant a 1 year, or is it ongoing, annual? Do you have to reapply for it every year?
Yeah, so this is a new grant that that I applied for the division. Originally, we were granted 3 language assistants, however, 1 quit before they'd even started and another didn't show up. So we have now 1 language assistant. So we had to really collaborate with the schools in terms of sharing this resource. So I met with the administrators, we went through the requirements and what essentially this language assistant can and cannot do, what his hours are, and also how we would share it amongst the schools. And it's a 1-year grant, and every year I would need to apply for the division.
Follow up to that, Madam Chair. Is that a federal grant? I see Odyssey and Alberta Education, but Odyssey. I'm not
So
familiar.
Odyssey is just, I believe it's just the program, they manage the program, but it's funded through Alberta Education. I believe Alberta Ed gets the money from the federal government for this program.
Okay. Number 3, bullet 1, the traumatic event system. This item is actually mentioned numerous times through the report. Just wondering if I could have a bit more information on what that is.
So just to give you an idea of where this came from, we had applied for a mental health grant from Alberta Education. And we essentially determined that this was a need. So this is part of the grant spending, is to train all of our administrators plus one other person from their school. So typically it would be an FSLW that would come in, that came and got the training, as well as all the senior admin as well. So we were trained in, it's called traumatic event systems. And basically it is a systemic response to a traumatic event. Now it can be, we can have proactive strategies, having systems in place in case something does happen, but also what happens if a traumatic event does happen. So it involves both all families, the schools, and the communities, and essentially just ensuring that everybody is on board with the approach to the event. And sorry, that was also a Kevin Cameron. It's in conjunction with VITRA, so it's.
I have a list today. Number 5, leading learning, bullet number 6. Parent Connect group. My question is, what is it?
I will tell you. Okay, Parent Connect. So basically it's attachment and relationship based program, and it supports both parents and children in their well-being. It's a 6-session program. And if you know anything about attachment theory, it's about utilizing the attachment theory in order to support the well-being of both parents and students.
Being offered in 2 schools or communities that they are, was this out of community need, or will this be rotating through?
Yeah, principal request. It says that hopefully this will happen in February 2024 in the Leduc area for schools and for Leduc schools and Beaumont schools.
Do you have any questions?
A couple. Yeah.
I was just curious as to how the transition to CTK of the outreach is was mentioned in number 2, and I just wondered, how is that going and is it going well? Is the school kids all accepting it?
So in collaboration with Principal Heck, the transition went very well. It was very smooth. What construction needed to take place was ahead of schedule. You can't say that often, so you need to hear that. It does happen. So construction was ahead of schedule. The staff were very happy with how all of that worked out. Principal Heck has certainly bestowed praise of the opportunity of having the outreach staff benefit from being on site in collaboration with CTK staff and the events that take place in the school. So overall, a very good, smooth transition.
And the students are happy where they are.
It's been very positive. Yeah.
That's great. My other question is, simple one, what do you mean by online free service teachers? That was number 2. Online
Pre-services. So pre-service is, and that was with collaboration with University of Calgary. So pre-service is another term for student teacher. So the universities would call their students pre-service teachers and placement.
Thank you.
I was just wondering, do we have any students in the outreach?
That are just outreach students? Yes, we do. Yes.
More than Like, is the attendance up?
I'd have to look at the schedule. I think
It's down a few from
Yeah.
projected in the budget, but it's minimal. It's in the low 20s. Standalone outreach students.
So are there some students that are both outreach and regular students?
Oh, yeah, totally. Yeah, we have over 100 of those.
Hopefully, starting Pinoca and bring down the reach rate, not just raise the K.
My last question has to do under number 7, bullet 3 and 4. It's the same question, but for both items in regards to the low incident grant report and the learning loss grant report. So I'm just, it's come up before, concern about how much time it takes for staff to continually do this. Annual basis, red tape associated with it, so I'm just wondering if you might be able to provide some information in that.
Absolutely. Glad you asked. Yeah, absolutely. For example, the learning loss grant, there were 4 of us that sat around the table and looked at the grant and looked at for about an hour. And we looked at what were the components that we needed and where we needed to gather the information and the data from. And so we did that, then we left, came back a couple days later with the information that we needed. And again, and then we also met for another hour inputting the data into the grant report. So if you're looking at 4 people, at least 8 hours, but that doesn't include even the gathering of the information. Right? Just simply because everybody has different pieces of information to input into this grant. Yes, there is a lot of back work for this, and it would be much easier if simply was a per pupil allowance, for example. That grants being divvied out, or you have to apply for the grant, and being divvied out, and then having to report on it. Thank you.
Very simple one, number 4, the superintendent's council. Is that the same as CAS or is that something different?
Superintendent's council is a group of principal directors and senior admin, internal to the division, and provide feedback on the Alberta framework for school systems. So, it's an internal.
Thank you. Any other questions for the superintendent? Then we move on to the Secretary Treasurer report. Secretary Treasurer. Trustee Miller.
Number 2, financial management, in regards to the Deputy Minister of Education regarding a meeting. My understanding is they would like to, or they're being invited to come and view our division office. Has a meeting date.
Yeah, so we have been doing, sustainability.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the Secretary of Treasury?
No, just one. You met with the city to review, do you think the agreement has since its time on for the joint use agreement? Yeah,
There's no further questions for the Secretary Treasurer. We'll move on to number 5, Catholic Education Sunday. Mr. Bouchard.
So trustee, you have in your package a number of documents associated with Catholic Education Sunday. I'll start with the background report. It does talk about the day being November 5th, unless it's been arranged otherwise in your community. As in past years, trustees have a budget of $400, which can be used for food, refreshments, and or promotional items. You'll also notice in the package that there are letters from the bishops of Alberta, which will be circulated to parishes along with the divisional brochure, which includes the superintendent's message. So all of those items are being shared with parishes for insertion into their bulletins. And again, as a reminder to trustees to make arrangements and make plans to celebrate that day in your local parish.
Thank you. I know some of us, I know in our, in the home, we're gonna be doing it on well, in conjunction with the Knights of Columbus. Everyone else is on it. Yes, trustee Young.
Will the bishop's letter be shared for schools, for parents, for wider
Yes.
community?
We're looking at the Education Sunday insert. I think it's very well done. I like the picture from there. I think that's
I wish I could take the credit for that, but most of that is patience. So good job.
So it's like, I might cut it off, put it on my old board of the church.
Just to encourage trustees having already met with the local ordinaries, to do that after the congestion is.
And all cool, some of the teachers are going to be doing things as part of mass. My parents, there are two school divisions, Red Catholic and Star Catholic. The representative from Red Catholic would be. Have any additions to? And we move right on to Remembrance Day. Mr. Bouchard.
So also a longstanding practice of the division is the ability for trustees to lay a wreath on Remembrance Day. So trustees are so inclined, they are to make arrangements with their local community. There is a donation of $55 that can accompany that wreath. So there are instructions in that background report on how to get reimbursement for that, but that is up to each trustee in their local community whether they wish to proceed with that.
You have to remind them that we are. Not quite the same as CW. Our division supports that. I think it's very important. Anything else on Remembrance Day? And we can move on to number 6, action items. 6.1, policy 6, the role of the vice chair. Would someone like to put forward that motion and then we can have discussion on it? Trustee Taylor.
I move that the board give policy 6, role of the vice chair, first, second, and third reading as presented. And that the revised policy now be in effect.
It's a very small change on here. Number 8. The board may assign the vice chair other duties and responsibilities of vice chair. First, second, and third. Very discussion. Then I will call the question. All those in favor? First, second, and third reading. Passed. 6.2. Policy number 6. I'm sorry, not policy. Board self-evaluation. Mr. Bouchard?
The trustees, you will have received a draft of the self-evaluation report. So I'll turn it back over to you.
So, someone propose that motion? No.
That the board approved the self-evaluation report as developed by the strategy and workshop of September 23, 2020.
And to look it over. Any discussion as far as the board self-evaluation report? No discussion, so I'll call the question. All those in favor? 6.3, superintendent evaluation. Ellen, did you propose that motion?
That the board approve the superintendent's evaluation report as developed at the facilitated workshop as of August 31st, 2020.
Is there any discussion as far as the superintendent's evaluation report? I see no hands up, so I will call the question. All those in favor? Six point four, board representation. This would be a change to our alternate for the TIBA board representative for the remainder of this year. So would someone like to go with the trustee Brenner?
That the board appoint trustee Epon as the alternate TIBA board representative for the remainder of the 2023-2024 school year.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Pleased about the next one. So this is the ACSBA executive. We're very fortunate that one of our trustees is going to run for the vice president position. So if someone would like to, Liz, can you vote that?
I move that the board support the nomination of St. Thomas Aquinas Roman Catholic School trustee Don Miller to the ACFTA vice president position at the November 2020 ACSTA annual general.
Okay. All those in favor? Thank you very much for running for this position. It's very, very important. 6.6. Should you be addendum? Trustee, to read that motion.
I move that the board support, right, that the board seeks an outside facilitator for the 2023-2024 board self-evaluation.
Okay. Is there any discussion about this? Following no discussion, I will call the question. All those in favor? Making record. Policy committee, there really isn't in the report. Finance committee, I look at the finance committee report. Miller is the chair for this committee. Yes, trustee Muller?
If I can just note, I know it's not on here, but just to highlight that I think we're already off to a great start this year. We had our first committee meeting and we have a lot of work ahead.
Very good committee and lots of good discussions. Any other questions on the finance committee report? Okay, then we'll go to the audit committee report. Which was right after the finance committee. Trustee DeMarco is the committee chair. You just got this by the audit committee. Trustee DeMarco?
So just to point out, if there is any questions you'd like the auditor to address, there is a note that it does need to be submitted by October 31st. So if you have any questions you would like forwarded on, if you could please let myself know before that date, that would be appreciated.
Thank you. So it is important if you have questions for the audit committee. They seem very good. It's a new, but seem very good. So please get your questions in. Anyone have any questions about the audit committee? We're down to good news. Good news stories. I'm happy to say that in the Lacombe School now, the soccer group is back into the school in the evening. So they're there two nights a week, and Cecilia, who is parent representative and volunteer, she's awesome, was very happy about being back in the school. They got it quite set up quite well. You can get in that back door and the rest of the school is kind of blocked off. So yeah, that's fun.
Have to go watch our junior or senior high students do a backcountry run. Big ones. Still waiting to hear how it did, but it was kind of a rainy, cold day, but the kids did really well.
So we had, I think, 3 children that ran cross country, and the principal was taking them way home, even though they're older, they were all sleeping. That had exhausted them all. That was good.
There's a lot of kids.
Anything from Father Duke? Okay.
Yeah, CTK is just starting their grad meetings and prepping for that, so.
That's exciting. Do they decorate the gym for, and it's all a theme and all that? Used like when I was.
Choose what the theme is, so the students will, there's actually just a meeting last night. So students will select their theme and their song and to be determined.
It's an exciting time.
Yeah.
Very valid.
Holy Trinity Academy is having their awards ceremony this Friday, so those who will be receiving awards that evening.
Okay. It's cool. Oh, okay, 4 months.
This is on a more personal note, as usual.
Okay.
One of my granddaughters tried soccer, horseback riding, gymnastics, and she's finally happy. She joined the volleyball team. So I went to watch her at the field. She's really liking it, excelling. We're happy that she finally found something she really is enjoying.
Good. Volleyball is such a great sport. Our girls team is doing really, really well. Boys team are doing pretty good too. But the girls team are just on a winning streak. Too good. What about Wetaskiwin?
October 4th was the awards night for the school. And it was very well attended, as well as the rest of the sports at the beginning. So if they have a lot young kids who really excited going into junior high and wanting to do business. see how that all shapes out in the spring. That's about it. Other than that, very well, beginning of the year, and as you already know, I get the schools very well. Yes, that lovely. Lovely.
Good. Is there anything else, any other good news story? Okay, then we go on to the annual work plan. 23-24. So, October was pretty full. Of course, tonight we're hosting a dinner meeting with COSC. Remember, we have ASB and ASBA and ACSTA conferences. And then so that's a bit. The board meeting is going to be a bit later. It will be, I believe, it's the 29th. It's going to be the 29th. November. Okay, now, move on to the board calendar. Coming up is the board retreat here at the office at October 23rd, 9 a.m. Looking forward to that.
9 to 3.
We have it out. Yeah.
The morning session start here. Gradually,
Now, a lot of the schools are doing school retreats. I was heard last night about one of their fun things was throwing axe hatchets. Throwing. That would be fun. I did think that we had said that if you have a committee meeting to let other trustees know about it, so if they want to just observe. So that would be for finance. The other committees. Yes.
Sorry, just on that note, just wanted to double check my calendar. There is a FAFSA Zone 2-3 meeting on October 27th. So once the agenda gets circulated, I will be sure to send it to whoever would like to attend.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the reminder.
October 27th.
Yeah, next Friday.
It's coming up fast.
And there will be elections for positions. So if anybody on the board, I did send out descriptions, I believe it was yesterday. So if there is any interest. Nominations.
Is it being on there too?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just as a note, I was on that one year and it is wonderful, wonderful committee to be. I would encourage anyone to be for it if they're interested. It's one of those things that fills your glass back up. It's just great to see all these new. We have another division. Really, it's unbelievable. So.
Jolie, does it virtual and
There's both. There's either in person or virtual. You have either option.
at 9:30?
Yes. Usually ends, they take a lunch break, and then it usually ends anywhere between 2:30 and 3:30. Depends on the agenda. This one might be fuller because of the elections that are taking place.
It's always, I would recommend it and support it. It's good to know what's happening. For our old divisions. There's a link here to the trustee expense claim form, just a reminder to try and get those in to secretary treasurer and the county clerk. And every month. Okay. Yeah. Action sheet. Sharp.
There were no actionable items, Madam Chair.
Correspondence. So if we'd like to.
Yes, one, yeah. Plus, can I see? All trustees, can we get back together for 5 minutes?
Earl St. Thomas. Fine. You're in this meeting. Thank you, everybody.
Go back to the other Zoom meeting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Got